This is a lecture series of cryptography, network security, and cyber laws. In this lecture, I am going to explain AKE protocol. This is one of the key exchange protocol that use the fundamental principle of Diffie-Hellman key exchange, followed by Neither-Crowder protocol, followed by Kerberos, followed by TLS protocol and handshake protocol, followed by tunneling and other security aspects of authentication. Let us see what is AKE protocol. AKE is nothing but enhanced key exchange protocol. It follows the fundamental principle of Diffie-Hellman key exchange protocol. In the previous lecture, you can for more details of Diffie-Hellman, you can refer my previous lecture where I had solved one example on Diffie-Hellman key exchange algorithm also. This key exchange algorithm where we have mutual exchange between the user A and user B or any number of users, and they will come up with a common secret key, and that key is called as shared secret key. Here also we'll see the same protocol, or using the same protocol we can have an authentication. Let us see the notion of representation like user A and user B also here, where user A will send a request to user B, and that request will call it as the encrypted with the help of the password. He is going to encrypt the G per A mod P, where G is the generator number, A is the secret key of A, and P is the prime number. The same thing what we had used in Diffie-Hellman key exchange protocol, the same application we can see also here. In the meanwhile, B also generates G per mod P, where G is a generator, P is a common prime, and B is the secret key of B, and RA is the user sender identification, and this data will be encrypted and that will be sent. The user A will verify both the things, and they will come up with a common agreement of K is equal to G per AB mod P. That is, A receives G per B mod P, B receives G per A mod P, and using those values G per A mod P and G per B mod P, they will compute a common key. Let me call it as K is equal to G per AB mod P. And using that key, the user A will send the data called RA and RB, the receiver identification, or that is A's identification and B's identification, and for that B will send back the RB data. This is what we can call it as enhanced key exchange protocol. This also provides the authentication between the users. Let us see some concepts of higher mechanisms on authentication, and let me call that module as Authentication 2, where we'll see centralized authentication and one of the famous protocol of centralized authentication called as Neither-Crowder protocol, followed by Kerberos, followed by other application and transport layer security aspects. In the previous lecture, we saw basic two mechanism. One is one-way authentication mechanism and two-way authentication mechanism. This is a mechanism where both user A and user B has to depend upon the centralized authority. Let us see the example in this diagram. Using this diagram, we can explain. User A, before communicating with B, he has to send a request message to the centralized authority. Let me call it as KDC, called as Key Distribution Center, who is the person, centralized authority, who is going to send the reply message or the approval message for respective user to go for the respective communication. That is, we can see the notion number one, A wish to communicate with B. For that, KDC will send back a message called KAB. This key is called as shared key between A and B. That is, you have to do the communication between B itself. That is the meaning of KAB. A shared key between A and B. Once the user A will receive KAB, user A came to confirmation that he can able to communication with user B. Then KDC, in the meanwhile, KDC will also send a message to B saying that the KAB is the key that will be shared between user A and user B. With the help of this agreement from the KDC for user A and user B, they can communicate with each other. This is the overall aspect or picture of centralized authentication. One of the famous protocol of centralized authentication, we can call it as Neither-Crowder protocol, commonly known as NS protocol. Let me see the first version of that. For this first version, we'll have the notion like this. Let us consider user A as A, and we can encircle with the help of yellow color, and user B as B, and again it is encircled, and S is the KDC. S is nothing but KDC. How the operation works: whenever user A want to communicate with the B, he never communicate with B directly. He will send a request message to centralized authorized person, that is KDC, Key Distribution Center. That request message consists of identification of A, identification of the receiver B, and the nonce, very important entity which is embedded with the request message, called as once randomly generated number, and once it is generated it cannot be used again, hence it is called as nonce. Nonce nothing but once generated number, n once. Okay, and once the server receives the messages like user identification of both A and B and nonce of A, he'll send back a message, reply message to user A, saying that a long-term key between A and B, we can also call it as long-term key, that is KAB, followed by user identification of B, that confirms that you can also communicate with the B, and it also sends the user nonce of A, that is NA, followed by an encrypted message. That message is encrypted with the help of a session key, that is KBS, that is the encrypted message between B and S, and this encrypted message is called as ticket. This KB comma A encrypted with the help of KBS, this is called as ticket, and this key is also called as long-term key. And this complete data is encrypted with the help of KAS, that is this is reply that is sending to A, and reply is between A and S, hence it is called as KAS. Okay, once A receives all this data, he will decrypt the complete data, but he can't able to decrypt the ticket, that is KAB comma A, that cannot be decrypted because the key is between B and S, not with A and S. Okay, so once he receives, the A is confirming, the S is confirming A that you can able to communicate with the B using this data. Once he receives the confirmation, what A will do, you can see the notion number 3, he will send a message that is encrypted by S, and he will send the data as it is to B, and it is also called as ticket, and that ticket is embedded with the help of long-term key. And once B receives this data, B will decrypt the data. He able to came to know that yes, the centralized server gives the confirmation to A that you can communicate with B. So I got the message that KAB comma A with the help of KBS, that is the session key between B and S. Once he receives, he will send his own nonce, that is NB, with the help of a session key or a key between A and B, that is KAB. Once B receives the key, he will decrement the value of NB minus 1, and he will send the data to B. It's a confirmation message that we are authenticating among themselves, that is among each other, that is NB minus 1 decrement by 1, and that is embedded with encrypted with the help of KAB. Once it receives, the communication is exchanged, the confirmation is exchanged, and authentication has been happened between user A and user B via yes. This is what exactly the first preliminary version of neither SCADA protocol. What is the major pitfall here? The major pitfall of this mechanism is there can be a man in the middle attack. Let us see how exactly it works. Let us have the convention of attacker as C also. Let us see the convention. C will send, the first 1 and 2 will be same. The first request will be sent to server by A, and server will send back the reply to B, reply to A again. Once A 1 and 2 performs, the attacker will send a request to B. What is this request? Consists of K-AB, A. That K-AB is not sent by server or the centralized authorized person. It was sent by the attacker. What B assumes, oh, I got the reply from the actual sender A, and he will send the nonce of B, and for that nonce, C will also send back the nonce minus 1, and that will be communicated with the attacker and the receiver. This is a major drawback, and this also called as man-in-the-middle attack in neither SCADA protocol. How this can be overcome with the help of the final version of the neither SCADA protocol? What is that follows? before communicating with the centralized authority, B has to start the communication. You can check out here. One is not between A and S. One is between the first communication. One number represents first communication between B with A. What B will does, B will send the nonce and his identification to A. By keeping those value, A will send the data to yes. That is in the previous version you can check out only A's identification and A's nonce and B's identification was sent, but in case of this, A's identification, B's identification, nonce of A, nonce of B will be sent to the centralized person. Once he receives, for that the centralized authorized person will send back the reply that consists of KAB, B, NA with the help of KAS, that is the long term key between A and S, KAB, A, NB, that is embedded with the help of KBS, that is the long term between B and S. Once A receives these two data, he can able to decrypt back KAS because it is a long term key between A and S. Once you can decrypt back the confirmation message says that you can confirmly communicate with B aram se. Why? Because a centralized person is authorized. Okay, and once it receives, A can aram se send the encrypted data, that is KBS data, to B, that is using long term key KBS, KAB, A, NB is encrypted, and once it receives, both A and B are communicated and they are authenticated, and this is called as neither Kerberos protocol. The live example or the real-time example for this is, once nowadays if you want to log in with the help of any application and all, you used to enter the username, password, your email address, date of birth and all the other credentials, all the other details. Once you enter the email address, the confirmation mail will be sent to your mail ID. Once you click that link, then only it will be activated. Correct? The centralized authorized person has to activate whether the user is using that account or not. Simply it will never communicate with the respective any kind of login credentials. So this is one of the confirmation message. Once you confirm the activation mail, then only you can able to communicate with the respective user like B or any Gmail or whatever, like it might be any banking sectors or it might be any kind of shopping markets and all. So that is what I can give a real-time example for this centralized authentication called neither Kerberos protocol. Next we'll see the very important aspect of centralized authentication called as Kerberos, and this follows the fundamental principle of the previous centralized authentication. Let us see, we have three entities. The user, or we can call it as a client. If the client want to communicate with the server, he cannot able to communicate with directly with the server and directly with the respective other servers. If you want to communicate, he has to contact Kerberos server. That is the communication, and we can see if the client want to communicate with the server, he has to communicate with the Kerberos server for getting the ticket, and the user has to communicate with the ticket granting server to get the acceptance of communicating with the respective server. We have totally 6 arrowheads here that indicate 6 communication. Let us see one by one. The first phase, getting the initial ticket to communicate with the TGS, called as ticket granting server. TGS is the one who grants the confirmation message that you can communicate with the ticket granting server. Gets a confirmation message, or it might be a confirmation notification. The client can able to communicate with the respective server. These are 3 important phases. I'll explain the complete aspect of all these 3 phases with the help of this diagram, block diagram. You can check out here. What the client has to send, client has to request the Kerberos server saying that I want to communicate with the TGS, called as next 3 and 4. That step has to happen once the Kerberos server send the acceptance mail. That you can see here. That is K2C with the help of KU, that is user key with the help of Kerberos, and with the help of it will send the timestamp, it will send TGS lifetime of the because the complete key will be not valid, so lifetime, some lifetime will be given. Once the lifetime expires, the key will be wasted. Okay, that's a temporary one. Once he receives a confirmation, he can able to send a request to ticket granting server TGS saying that I want to communicate with the server. That you can see in the next slide. That is say to TGS. Again, it consists of client authentication and along with timestamp. This also a temporary one. It will be not valid throughout. Once the time expires, timestamp becomes 0. That it will not work. And once he receives the confirmation, he can able to communicate with the respective server. Okay, this is what the Kerberos protocol, and this is what about the centralized authentication protocols and all. We saw one-way authentication, mutual authentication, centralized authentication. In that centralized authentication, we saw the very famous protocol called as neither protocol with man-in-the-middle attack and how it can be overcome, followed by Kerberos protocol. This is what all about authentication. Next we'll see what is how security can be given at a transport layer. Okay, the transport layer security can be given by various protocols. Out of those, will in this contents, let me explain in this lecture, let me explain transport layer security, handshake protocol and record protocol. This is what about the small block diagram of TLS, transport layer security. As we have the application layer security, in the same way we have the transport layer security. We have various protocols. We all know about this. I think TCP is the underlying protocol in the transport layer. Below that we have IP protocol. So the transport layer consists of handshake protocol, ciphersec protocol, alert protocol and HTTP protocol. SSL Handshake Protocol, Secure Socket Layer Handshake Protocol, consists of mainly 4 mechanisms. This all happens, if you want to explain the greater details, this all happens before happening or before sending any kind of data. Before sending any kind of data, this client server key exchange should be happened or handshake should be done. Then once it is done, then only the next the data will be sent. Okay, you can check out here. This will work with the help of four phases. Hello phase followed by certificate key exchange by the client, certificate key exchange by the server, followed by the finish phase. What the first phase called as client hello. Once the client send a request to the server if he is free and if he is not communicate with the respective other user, he can able to send back the reply message called as server hello. Once he receives the server hello, along with the server hello, he'll send the next important message called as certificate message, server key exchange and server hello done. These are 3 important messages sent by the server. Once all these messages were validated by the client, when he came to conclusion that the server is valid, he'll send back the next phase of messages called as for server key exchange, he'll send client key exchange. For certificate, he'll also send the certificate followed by the change cipherspec protocol. We'll see that protocol in the next section. And once this is done, he'll send the finished message. Once the finished message will be sent to the server will also send the cipherspec protocol. That is, whatever the specification he want to exchange, he'll exchange, and he'll also come up with the finished protocol. Once this client exchange protocol or handshake has been done, then only we can go with the application data. In this change cipherspec protocol, the client and server come up with the common conclusion of using which protocols we have to use for communication and all, like which certificate and which protocol, like which encryption protocol and all. This is what about see how exactly TLS record protocol works. It's also called as SSL record protocol or TLS record protocol. Whatever the application layer protocol or application layer data, let me see this can be operated with the help of many steps. Let me explain one by one. Whatever if you want to download any video or audio, the raw data you'll get, right? The complete data cannot be saved or cannot be uploaded as it is. The complete data will be divided into number of fragments. This process is called as fragmentation. For example, if you want to download a complete video, the complete video will be not downloaded in the single step. The complete video will be divided into number of fragments, and the complete fragments will be again made into one more process called as compression, where the complete data will be compressed. Why we require compression? To make the data rate higher, or we can send the data in the higher speed. Once he receives the compressed data, the compressed data will be appended with a MAC protocol. That it's not about your data link layer MAC, it's about message authentication code. This authentication code will be consisting of any of the authentication protocol, and that complete data we can call it as a add MAC data. Once we'll receive the add that along with the compressed data with the MAC data, this will be completely encrypted using any of the encryption protocol which we have studied, like DES encryption, RS encryption and all. Once the encrypted data will be appended with the SSL header, that data is ready to send for the next lower layers. This is what about the operation of SSL record protocol. That is, we'll receive the application data, that is first step, followed by the fragmentation. We'll divide the data into fragments. The second step, followed by the compression. Why we require compression? To make the data rate higher, and will reduce the size of the data, and the storage capacity will be less, and all this operation is called as compression. Followed by the fourth operation called as adding some MAC, that is some authentication data should be added along with the actual data. Authentication will be done, and this is called as adding the MAC. Followed by the encryption using some common encryption protocol. We have to encrypt the data such a way that attacker should not able to get the raw data. Once the data will be encrypted, this is the fifth step called as encryption, followed by appending SSL record header. Why we require the header? That tells that which layer we are in. That is what about your SSL record protocol. Followed by this is what the two important protocols which we have in the transport layer. If we go for next layer called as network layer, we have a few more protocols which comes under IP protocol, IP layer. We'll see IP security association parameters. We have internet protocol security association, lifetime of the association, IPsec mode. We have two modes, tunnel mode and transport mode. Cryptographic parameters, 32-bit sequence numbers. Protocols, IP security protocols, we have the two important protocols. One is authentication header and encapsulation security payload, commonly known as AH and ESP. And this IPsec mainly works in two modes. One is transport mode and one more called as tunnel mode. Tunnel mode we can also call it as VPNs, that is virtual private networks mode. How tunnel mode works? Tunnel mode is a mechanism where there will be a separate tunnel will be maintained between user A and user B, and that tunneling, making it tunnel operation is also called as tunneling operation. We have tunnel head and tunnel tail. Once the data is entered, the data will be encapsulated, and that operation is called as encapsulation. And once the data is coming out of the tunnel, we can call it as decapsulation before reaching the receiver. And the tunnel, the encapsulated data consists of a new IP header, AH or ASP header, original IP header, TCP data, and actual data. This is called as tunnel mode. In case of ESP or encapsulated security payload, we have some other extra data format. We have it original header format, followed by encapsulation header, TCP header, data, ESP trailer, that is the last part of the data, and ESP authentication data, and other respective sequence number, security parameter index, as we had explained in this the IP security association. All the parameters will be there in your transport mode. This is a two modes of network security. IPsec modes. One is transport mode and tunnel mode. This is all about transport layer security and network layer security. In transport layer, we have two protocols. One is SSL record protocol and SSL handshake protocol. In your network security, we have it. IPsec security, we have it two important protocols. One is authentication header and encapsulation security payload, and that works with the help of two modes. IPsec will work with the help of two modes. One is tunnel mode and transport mode. This is all about your authentication. Thanks for listening. Thank you so much.